Hi, everyone. Good evening. I hope you can all hear me. Let me ask my colleague, Rick. Rick, can you hear me properly?
Yes, I can. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, this is Rick, my colleague. I'm Diovana. So we're going to present the webinar about buying a home in Eindhoven tonight. I am here in Eindhoven. I live here for a long time already. Rick is in Rotterdam at the moment. So let's start it. Before we go further, I just want to let you know that we're going to record this section, and after the webinar, within a few hours, or maybe I believe tomorrow actually, you're going to receive an email with a recording and with this presentation as well. And in there, you have all the information that we're going to share with you, and also our contacts. If you, for example, forgot to ask anything, feel free to ask your questions. We're going to have a time at the end to answer them all. But you can already put them in the chat, and Rick can already answer them for you if you have any doubts or questions. And if you forget anything, you can always drop us an email at the tomorrow or so after you get this recording. Let's start it. So I'm Diovana. I am expat buying manager and also a rental manager. I am from Brazil. I've been living in the Netherlands for a long time, about I think it's going to be 14 years next year. I have two kids, a son and a daughter. Very proud of them. I moved here in 2009, as I said. I rented not one place. I think I rented more than I would say 7 times in the whole Netherlands, but I did live in the north as well before I lived here. And then I bought my house. I fully renovated. I sold the house in a very good time, but I could make a lot of profit, and I bought a new house, and I also renovated the whole house. And I might sell it again, who knows? But that's my story. Let's get to know you. We have a little poll just to have an idea who is joining us in the webinar. So let me start the poll. Let's guess there are a few questions. How did you hear about us? Why are you buying? What is your decision regarding that? So let's see. I will give you about, I would say, for 30 seconds, I should be enough, I guess. I see that you are answering already. Oh, Instagram, that's a good one. I think today we might have 2 people participating in the webinar that they were my clients in the past, rental clients. So if you're here, hi guys, I hope you're enjoying your holidays with your family, and I hope to see you too. I guess we are done. Yeah, shall we continue? Oh, rents are too high indeed. Yeah, I'd like to buy it. Equity, that's a nice one. I'd like to settle. Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's move forward. End the poll, and then we can move forward. Let me see. A bit of what we're going to talk today, a bit of introduction about the presentation, some market info, some market drivers, of course, we're going to share with you. What do you need in savings to be able to buy a house in the Netherlands, and 3 tips to make in the market at the moment. And of course, the timeline. I think it's very important for you to understand the whole timeline of buying. It's very different than rental. And then you can have an idea when and what do you need and where you need to do everything to be able to buy a house, or when you have your offer accepted. Greatness is achieved in the ages of others. This is our company. Let me introduce H&N a little bit. This is the people that work with the buying team. We have people from all over. So it's a very mixed culture company, which is quite nice because we get to understand, we are also all expats, so we get to understand all the difficulties and the challenges of moving to a new country or move around. We have people in the company that did live in 3, 4 different countries, so that's quite nice. And everyone has experience with the buying and the rental process because they have to do by themselves as well. So it brings a lot of experience to the whole process to help you out as well. A brief introduction from the company. We are not traditional real estate. We do say that because we don't have houses for sale or to rent. We do help people to rent houses and buying houses, but we don't have houses ourselves. so that we are different than any other real estate agency. We do charge a fixed fee. We have no commission, so you can buy a house of 100,000. Okay, if you find one until I don't know how many millions, you name it, 7, 8, 9 millions, and the price is the same for everyone. That's the difference. And we, of course, we know what it looks like to in a new country. It can be very challenging. So I think that's a big add to what we do. What's our add value? Well, selling agents take offers from agent and more seriously. It is true, especially when the person who is selling the house, the owner of the house is needed. It's a need of a secure place. He needs to be very secure regarding mortgage and everything. So they do rather have an offer from a selling agent. That makes a huge difference when you send your offer, especially if you need a mortgage, if you don't have that much to add to the offer. So that makes a huge difference. We can sometimes book viewings when it's no longer possible. That's also true. A lot of agents, they do leave spots behind from other agents. So it's quite often that our clients are not able to book the viewings by themselves. And if we call, we are able to squeeze in you in a viewing or be there with you and do the viewings by ourselves with you. So the real estate agents don't have to do themselves. That makes also a big difference. We support by reviewing Dutch legal and property documents. We have many people in the company that we speak Dutch. I speak Dutch myself. Of course, being living here for so long, it would be embarrassing not to. So if you are learning Dutch, don't give up. You get there. It's a hard language to learn, but I'm sure you can do it. And we review all those documents together with you, so you know what you're signing, and all the documents of the house as well. I will talk about them a little bit later in the process. We help define market value to the market stage. That's one of the things that I think is the most important. I see a lot of people buying houses, excuse me, and paying a lot of money or not getting an offer accepted because they know the correct price they should bid for regarding a market value. Well, I'm going to explain to you a little bit further, and then you can understand what I'm talking about market value and funda or real estate website value. That makes a huge difference when you buy your property. We will inform you about the rules and regulations. There are a lot of new rules regarding buying, especially if you are thinking about buying to let, or if you want to rent the house in the future or something like that. So there are new regulations, and we're going to inform about all of them as well. And with this presentation as well, you also have access with a few links that you can read about those new regulations for this year and for next year as well. So let's move further. And of course, we make sure you don't make the same mistakes we have made before getting in this crazy market of buying a house in the Netherlands. So with our experience with being through the process, we can add a lot of value in not making the mistakes that a few people in our company did do in the past. Where are you in the process? So just for us to have an idea, let me see the buying process. So it would be nice to know if you guys already have seen the house, if you have sent an offer, or if you got an offer accepted, or if you have talked to a mortgage advisor. So if you please could fill in our poll, just for us to have an idea what kind of, who is with us today. Researching most of the people I see. A lot of people did not talk to an agent yet. Viewing properties, nice. Good that you're having viewings. Oh, I see that a lot of people did not talk with a mortgage advisor. So we're going to talk about this a bit further. I'm not a mortgage advisor, so please always talk to a mortgage advisor or to your bank about your financial process. I think this is it. Let's go further. In the poll, there we go. So some market info I would like to share with you. Things have changed, we all know that, but it's still numbers are average price in the Eindhoven area in the Netherlands are 425. This for the Q3. So we have a few the new numbers. So you can see the prices are still quite high. The houses are still selling in a high price. The market is not going down yet, so we're going to see what's going to happen in the future. And here we have some market figures for Eindhoven. So the amount of houses that were sold in the past that are for sale right now, and you can see how many more they have this year. So average purchase price in Eindhoven, it is quite high, 457, and this is very, for me, that has been here for 14 years, not only in Eindhoven, but in the whole, across the country. But I've been in Eindhoven anyway for at least 10. 457 is a very, very high number from when they got here. So it's quite high. Average price 3,604. Sales time 23 days. So houses still are going away, are being sold very, very fast. Of course, we all know the problem in the market in the Netherlands. There are no houses available for everyone that needs one. So that makes the properties being sold quite fast. Market drivers, let's talk a little bit what caused the price to increase, right? Let's talk about the house price to go so high. Fiscal benefits, tax exemption. There is an article further in the process that is going to talk about this. Interest rates rebate. You will always get a little rebate on your interest rates. You can have them monthly deducted from the price you have paid for the mortgage, or once a year you can get the rebate back. The tax exemption, it is for the regarding the 2% transfer taxes when you buy a property that is someone already lived in. That does not account for new build. New build properties, they don't have 2% transfer tax. It doesn't matter how old you are, but for the buildings that are already there, that have been bought in the past or sold in the past, you do have to pay transfer tax, but that is a tax exemption if you are up to 35 years old and you never bought a house in the Netherlands before. You don't have to pay. Oh, and the price of the house is up to 400K. It will get higher next year. We're going to talk a little bit further. You do have the tax exemption. You don't have to pay 2% on the purchase price to the government. No capital gains, of course. Tax-free parent donation, it will end. I think it's now by the end of the year, but that's what caused the price to increase so much in the Netherlands. And low interest rates, that was the case, right? It was really super low. Compare what we saw in the past 10 years. It's still not that high, but it was really, really super low last year. I had clients, I believe they closed mortgage with 1.2%. And if they got any HG, that's the National Mortgage Guarantee, they had interest rates at 0.9%. And now it's around 4%. So it's the difference is big, but it's still, 10 years ago, the interest rates were about 7, 8, 9%. So it's still not that much yet. So we can talk a little bit further, of course. And high rent. We all know that the rental price in the Netherlands are really, really expensive. And lack of supply, as I said it before. There is, I read something in an article about 2 weeks ago that we are at 310,000 houses, less houses. That's the amount of houses in the Netherlands we need to provide a house for everyone to be able to buy a house. So that's how bad it is. So of course, that makes price increase, the amount of people coming. And I believe for the Eindhoven area, it's even worse than a lot of parts of the country, because we do have many expats coming every month to work in the region, ASML, Philips, all the IT companies, high-tech companies, even at the TU University. I went to an event a few days ago from the Expat Center, and they did until October more than 7,000 BSN numbers, and they're expecting double of the people next year. So that's how Eindhoven, how busy Eindhoven is, and of course the lack of supply, it's gigantic. Let's go further. Here we put some of the news that it's very important for you to know when you're buying a house. Self-occupancy obligation. This changed from 1st of April in Eindhoven region. In Eindhoven region is Eindhoven, Heldrop, Nuenen, Best, Helmond, all the little cities around the little village, Walter as well. So pay attention to that, because they all have the same law now, that you can no longer rent your house. It has to be a specific value, a specific WOZ value. So we put all the rules there. So please be aware when you're buying a house, and if you want to rent a house in the near future, it might not be possible. It's becoming more and more difficult. The government did that, so a lot of investors, they just would stop buying all the houses and flip the houses and put in the market for very high value. and sell them all or rent it out. So it did put a stop to that, but it makes the life of expats a little bit more difficult because a lot of us don't intend to be here for more than 5 or 10 years. So maybe you want to rent in the future. So be careful with that because the changes are quite big, and it's becoming more and more difficult to be able to rent the house in the near future. NHG to increase. So if you buy a house up to 355,000 euros today, you are able to get a mortgage called NHG, National Mortgage Guarantee. It's a special mortgage. They have special interest rates, and they also, what's more appealing about this mortgage is that if you lose your job or if you're not able to work anymore, if you have an accident or maybe a divorce in the middle if you're married, or you can also read that in the link we put it there. You can click there and read it afterwards. But that mortgage will protect you. If you get that mortgage, it will protect you against those things. You're not going to lose your house if you're not able to pay for it. And so next year they will increase the value to 405. So that's something you can discuss with your mortgage advisor, which is quite good. Today is up to 355. Anyone can have it if the purchase price is up to 355. Next year it's 405. So that's good news actually. It will give people maybe more access to the houses and go a little bit higher since the price went so high. There is also the transfer tax. They also today the rule is you don't have to pay transfer taxes, the 2% transfer tax if you buy a house up to 400K, if your transfer is this year. But if your transfer is next year, the limit is going to go up to 440. So if you are up to 35 years old, you never bought a house in the Netherlands, and you buy a property up to 440 into next year, your transfer date will be next year, then you don't have to pay 2% transfer taxes. This year, if you are moving in this year, if you have you're going to get the keys, if you're going to go to the notary and sign your transfer this year, then it's up to 400. But from next year on, it's 440, which also gives people it's a way to save your money, right? The 2% transfer tax is it's on the value of the purchase price that you buy, the purchase price of the property. You have to pay those 2%, so you can save that if you buy a house up to 400, and if your transfer date next year, it's up to 440. But you do have to be up to 35 years old. Let's go further. What do you need in savings before you start? So we have here something very, I love this. I find this very clear because I see a lot of people, even after they talk to a mortgage advisor, they are not completely sure about what they need. So I will explain that to you, but I would say like this: if you're planning to buy a house in the Netherlands, you do need around 3 to 5% of the purchase price in savings. So that's let's take a number, right? 300K, you bought the property, you bought it cost 300K, your offer got accepted for 300K. You do need to have 3 to 5% of that value in cash to be able to buy a house, because the bank only finances the house, nothing else, not the expenses for you to buy a house. Why 3 to 5%? Because if you are if you are younger than 35, you don't have to pay those 2% of transfer tax. Remember I told you it's up to 400 now, and then next year up to 440. So then it's 3% for you. But if you do have to pay, then it's 4 to 5%. So that's the amount. And those are the costs. You can see it. Transfer tax, if you have 2%. Mortgage deeds and transfer deeds, that's for the notary to do it. That's mandatory. It costs around, I would say, in Eindhoven, together, mortgage deeds, transfer deeds, plus the translator, the interpreter, I would say 1,600. You do get the part of that is tax deductible. You can see here. The mortgage broker, the mortgage advisor, or the bank, there are different costs for. They can be very expensive, they can be cheaper. It depends on your bank you go. Just so you know, the bank will always charge you anyway to do your mortgage, not just because you are a client that you're going to get the mortgage process for free. You're going to pay even to the bank. So that's why we tell our clients to always talk to a mortgage advisor as well, because they do have access to other institutions and that's easy for you to maybe decide a different provider that you don't have access to. Mortgage advisor is, or the bank as well, it is tax deductible. I think you get, I'm sure you get around 38 to 41% in your next taxes, the next year you have to do your taxes. Appraisal, that's mandatory in the Netherlands to have a mortgage. The bank will ask you for a valuation report, and that has to be done by an official appraisal. Of course, if you work with us, we're going to handle all of that for you. But just so you know, it is mandatory. It doesn't matter who you work with. You do have to pay. They are also tax deductible. Technical inspection is not mandatory for your mortgage. It's up to you if you want someone to inspect your house or not. Interpreter is mandatory if you don't speak fluently Dutch. You cannot only, I know a lot of people have maybe Dutch passports or something, but they don't actually don't want to speak Dutch fluently. It has to be fluent. So you need an interpreter. You can choose the language you like. Bank guarantee, that's mandatory. That's the guarantee to the sellers that if something happens to the mortgage process, to the buying process, that they will get paid. I will explain that later, but you do have to pay. That's mandatory. You can pay with your own savings. That's 10% of the purchase price that you have to transfer to the notary, and the notary will hold on to the money until the process is done. And then you get back the money. If you don't have the money, that's okay. You can always borrow the bank. And some banks do charge around 250 euros to do that for you. And some banks charge 1% of those 10% as not a fine, for them to do it for you. So they would transfer that for you as a loan, for example. NHG, if you're going to go for NHG, remember a house up to 355 this year, next year 406, was it? You do have to pay, let's say, a subscription value for that is 0.6 of the mortgage amount. You pay only once to be able to get their mortgage, and it's also tax deductible. So basically everything that is related to the mortgage process is tax deductible, as you can see. So that's included all the 3 to 5% in savings that you need to have that cannot be financed with the bank, that you have to have in cash. And that's all you're going to need to be able to buy a house in the Netherlands. So we made 3 tips to win the current market. Let me show them to you. Value. So remember I talked to you about the value of the property and how that adds, that's something that we do that adds a lot in our work to you. So that's the point I'm getting to. I'm going to put you some example just for you to understand. So the asking price for this apartment this property, it was in the Eindhoven. If you guys don't know, there is a website, because I see a lot of people never chat with the mortgage advisor, so maybe you don't know Funda yet. Funda is a website where I would say 99% of the house will be listed to buy in the Netherlands. It's www.funda.nl. Why do I say 99%? It's because some people, I can give you my example, the person who sold my second house to me, they did not want to list the house on Funda because they did not want to have like 50 people walk around their houses. And they just didn't want to. And they knew they would sell it quite quickly because of the neighborhood and everything. So I work in the field. So for me, of course, it's different than everyone else. I had an agent called me and he said, do you have clients? This house is not going to go on Funda. If you have clients, we can make like a little viewing just for a few people and then we sell it and that's it, because they don't want to get to that process to have too many people in their house. So yeah, I said, I do, but that's me. So I came to the house and I saw the house and we decided to buy it. The house never went to Funda, but that's an exception. It doesn't happen all the time. That's why I say 99%. So what they do many of times is they do list their houses in their own website, let's say 2 or 3 days before, put it on Funda. And then you can subscribe to those newsletters or Facebook page, and then you can see the houses 2 days before Funda, and then you can already apply for a viewing. So if you are new to this and you don't know where to look, Funda is the main website, but tomorrow after you receive the presentation or so, you're going to see my email, drop me an email. I have a little list with all the real estate agents, not all, but the most important ones in Eindhoven area, that they do put their properties on Facebook and their own websites before Funda. I can send you the list. I don't mind to do that, so please drop me an email and ask me for the list of real estate people that add those properties, their properties on their own website. So let's move forward with the price, because that's what everybody wants to know, how much they have to pay, right? So that house was on Funda for 395,000 euros. So what are we talking about the value? So asking price, right? Funda 395, market value 415. Purchase price 435. So what I'm going to try to explain to you here is that there's a lot of costing around overbidding the market, that you have to have this huge amount of money, otherwise you can't buy it. You have to pay 10% more or 30%. I went to a viewing once that the selling agent said, if you don't pay 30% more, we're not going to sell the house. And yeah, that's quite ridiculous. And I know a lot of people don't really understand how that works, but I also see a lot of people paying that amount just because they don't understand the market completely. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about it. So what we do, we show you guys what the market value is. So there is one price in Funda, and not always that's the market value, especially when it's a house that I see a lot of nice in a very nice neighborhood, a very nice house, like energy label A or B, everything completely renew inside, and then they go and then boom, drop the price of the house on Funda. And I know the areas, you know, that's what I do. So more or less I have an idea, even without doing my research, how much that should cost. And then I got like, oh, that's low. So what they do, they put a very low price in Funda. It happens quite a lot. And then a lot of people come to the house, and then the house sells for what you can see here, 435, for example. So that's what I'm explaining to you. Asking price on Funda is one thing. Market value is something very different. That's the value, the appraisal. Remember the valuation report there that it's mandatory for the bank? The bank doesn't want, they don't want to know how much was the asking price on Funda. They want to know what is the market value. And that's how much they're going to give you as a mortgage if you have the budget, of course, right? So what we do a price research. It's very important that you know the real market value of the property. So once you have that, you completely forget the Funda price. You aim for the market value. So that's the value that the bank wants. That's going to be under appraisal report. Of course, you're not going to do an appraisal report before you go into a house, and that's why we're here, right? So that's why it's very important for you to have a price research done, to look through those houses around, to look everything, to see more or less how much is the market value, and that's how you base your offer. So in this case, for example, asking price was 395, market value. Do you see the difference? 20K from the market value, 415, which means the report will come with a value of 415. So that's how much the bank will give you as a mortgage. Again, if you have the budget, if you have a budget of 300 and you are paying 415, you're only going to get 300. But if you, let's say your budget is 415 or it's 425, or the bank will give you 415. Even if your budget is 1 million, the bank is going to give you 415. The bank always going to give you the amount of the appraisal. If you want to finance less, of course, it's possible, but you can never go higher than what the appraiser puts in the report. So it doesn't matter how much more budget you have. But in this case, they did overbid. They overbid 435. They paid 20K more from the market value. So that's the big difference on overbidding. So you see, it's actually 40K from the purchase price, from the first price that it was on Funda, but from the market value, it wasn't that much. So that's what people need to pay attention to, and that's when the conversation about overbid change, because sometimes, let's say you did pay only in this case, forget about the purchase price, just forget about it and focus on the market value. Let's say you paid actually 415 for this house. So which means you didn't overbid at all. You paid market value. So if you paid the 395, you can actually go to the street and scream because you pay under market value. That's really good. So 415 is market value. You did not overbid. You have to understand that. So let's go further so you can see. You see, 4.8%. You did not overbid 10%. You did not overbid the 20, 30% that people have. Here's another example. Asking price 375, market value. This is higher. 415, and that's normal for the Eindhoven area. Amsterdam is even worse. I see houses that the asking price is like 375, and we do our price research and market value is like 48, 485. That's how they get people to come to the viewing, and that's how they get the overbidding to be so gigantic. Purchase price 435. In this case, look again, same thing. You see the difference? That's how the overbidding works. So as long as you have, when you have the market value, more or less, you can forget the asking price. And that's how much will be in your report, and that's how much the bank will give it to you. Of course, if you offer less than 415, if you offer 400 and the market value comes at 415, great for you. You bought under the market value, but the bank will going to give you what is in the report. Remember that. Huh? Let's move further. A winning offer. What makes a winning offer a good thing? Offer a good price. Yeah, that's market value. That's very important. Of course, you're always going to have people wanted way too much for the houses, and that's when and I truly believe that an agent comes in handy, because I had a lot of clients in the past that want to pay as much as they could because they wanted a house so desperately, and it wasn't really necessary. We didn't have to because we do our price research. We know the market value, so that makes a huge difference. So that's why offer a good price is very important. It's not always that you have to go for the highest price, for example. What the sellers want, they want security. They want to know that the mortgage will be approved, that they don't have to put their house again on Funda, or that because they probably already bought another house, and they have to prove to the bank that they can sell it the one they are living now, so the bank can approve the other mortgage as well. So it's because it's snowball. So you have to, they want, not always, they want the highest price. And also, offer security to the seller, offer a good seller, offer the least amount of hassle. What that means? That means is that if you're buying a property let's say you want to renew the house, right? Or you see a property on the internet that is from, I'd say, 10 years ago, and you put it in your offer that you want to do a technical inspection, that you do a foundation inspection, that you want to do so many different things, that you put so many steps in your offer that makes your offer too much of a hassle for the seller. And if they're not looking to go crazy on the highest price, they will choose an offer that is not that full of little things that have to be filled in. I had a case this week that the transfer date for the house is quite far away. It's July. So they had 3 offers above our offer, 3 offers that were higher than our offer. But our client, my client, was the only one who was okay waiting into July next year to move in, because he's very comfortable where he's now. So yeah, he said, that's fine. I can't pay more than this, but I will wait until July. So we got the offer accepted. So you see, that was for all the other people. They put a date by themselves, so did not want to wait. They didn't win the offer, even though they have the highest price. So that's the difference in the offer. And offer a personal touch. The sellers always want to know a little bit who is buying their house. If they have the financing orders, if everything will be okay, because they don't want to, in a few 4 to 5 weeks, having a mortgage night, or having someone that some people are very attached to their houses. I remember the people who sold this house to me, they did want to know what before they accept our offers, because they were living here for 35 years. Their kids were literally born in the house, and they want to someone that would do, I don't know, take care of the house or something, although we renovate the whole house. But but they did want to know who we were before. So that's very nice to send together with your offer. Offer a personal touch, where do you work, those kind of things, so they can breathe and be okay with the offer that you sent. Let's look what is going to happen, due diligence, what is going to happen, who you're going to meet during the process, right? Technical inspector and appraisal. I told a little bit about the technical inspector. I just want to see the other slides really quick. The technical inspector is the one that after you get your offer accepted, and there you go. I answered the next question. Do you book it before or after your offer is accepted? It's before, after your offer gets accepted. That I always do that. That's why I want to check this slide. But the technical inspector is the guy that will come to your house if it's necessary, and that I say if it's necessary because they will send you a lot of documents when, or if they don't, they should and ask for it. Documents of the house once you make an appointment to go see the house, or after you visit the house. And in those documents, you can see everything about the house, let's say, or the property, even an apartment. You can see if they had leakages in the past, if they did fix those leakages, or how old are the ceilings, if there is a for example, if there is if there's insulation, when did they do it? What kind of what kind of glass? If they're double glass, what kind of energy label they have? All those things will be in those documents. And then together with your agent, you will decide if it's necessary to have a technical inspector or not. A tip: if the house is older than 20, 25 years, maybe it's nice to have a technical inspector to make sure that everything is fine, especially the roof, right? The roof is something very expensive to change. And if the house is older, 56, and they didn't do any renovation, for sure you need an inspection. But be aware, an inspector is not going to come to your house and check the oven or the dishwasher. It's literally the building itself. So the roof, the walls, looking at the whole the fuse box, those kind of things, not the dishwasher, the microwave, those kind of things, just so you know. And you can choose that, you can put that in your offer. They will come after your offer gets accepted. The appraiser is the guy that's going to do the valuation report. Remember the one that is mandatory for the bank, the one with the market value, the real value? That's the guy. He will come after your offer gets accepted and do a valuation report for you. And those guys, there was a question, do you book them before or after? So I answered that for you. It's after your offer gets accepted because you do have to pay them. Remember the value, I think that was here. Let me see where they were. Then you have, oh, it's too far back, but the valuation in Eindhoven is around, the technical inspection is around 375, and the valuator is around 800. So remember, if it's regarding to the mortgage, you do get it's tax deductible. So the appraisal is tax deductible. So you get around 38 to 41% back when you do a taxes next year. This is for you a little timeline. We're going to make a big one for you understand what happens after offer gets accepted. So you do your search, you make your appointment, you go to the viewings, you make an offer. The offer gets accepted. Most likely you're going to get the answer in max 1.5 days. Offer gets accepted, you get around 1.5 weeks to sign the purchase agreement, because before the signing, there's actually no deal. So you have to sign a purchase agreement to be sure, and also the bank needs the purchase agreement to make your mortgage. So in that 1.5 weeks, you're going to have the appraisal and the technical inspector come to the house. And when you have the real value, you don't need to have the report in your hands from the appraiser, but when you have the market value, then you know that you're going to finance that amount, and then you can breathe and everything will be fine. Most likely will be fine for your mortgage. And also the inspector, right? Especially to buy a house that is a bit older. It's nice to see that the whole inspection is okay. There's nothing wrong with the report. And then it's time for you to sign the purchase agreement. The purchase agreement is a deal between you and the seller, and everything, all the clauses that you put in your offer will be there, all the dates when you need your mortgage to be approved, when you have to pay the 10% bank guarantee, when it's going to be a transfer date. They're also going to put that you did do a technical inspection. Everything will be there. And after you sign the purchase agreement, you do have 3 working days. We call the cooling off period, that you can just pull out of the offer without paying any penalty to the seller. Remember those 10% bank guarantee? So if you pull out of after those 3 days, you will have to pay 10% to the seller, 10% of the purchase price. So 375, you're going to have to pay 37,500 to the seller if you pull out for no reason. Of course, if your financial is denied, that's something different. But other than that, you will have to pay the 10% to the seller as a penalty. So in those 3 days, you can pull out no penalty to the seller. Remember, you do have to pay the appraisal and the technical inspector because they already been in the house. So my tip to you here is sign the purchase agreement on a Friday or after a Wednesday, because then it only counts as working days. So then you have more days to think about it, right? Here's the big timeline so you understand a little bit more of the process. So start planning, go to the house, like the house, go through the documents, offer, submit your offer. The offer gets approved. It's time to do the appraisal and technical inspector. After that, remember, 1.5 weeks, you sign the purchase agreement. It's time for you to start your mortgage application. You sign the purchase agreement together with the seller, and then you send immediately your mortgage advisor, and then he can already start your process. You do have those 3 days cool-off period, and after 3 days, you sign the purchase agreement. 3 working days, remember that. So if you sign on a Friday, you have until next Wednesday to pull out of the deal without paying any penalty. After that, you have to pay those 10%. The average to get a mortgage approved in the Netherlands is around 4 weeks. I have seen that happen this week. It was about 1 week and a half for one of our clients in Amsterdam. It was super quick, which was great, but it can take also 4 and 5 and 6 weeks sometimes. But more than that, I never saw it. When your mortgage application is approved, everything will be sent to the notary, because by then you already have a notary. And then you will receive the statement of completion. That's where you pay. Remember that little slide that we have with all the costs, the 3 to 5%? So that's when you pay all of that before you get your keys. So before you go to the notary, let's say it's, I don't know, 1st of November at 11 o'clock in the morning, what you do, you're going to, or if you have us as your agent, we're going to do it for you. We're going to make an appointment with the sellers an hour and a half before you go to the notary to get your keys, to sign your transfer deed, to go to the house and do a last inspection at the house. That's very important. The house has to be in the same state as it was when you sign it, the purchase agreement. The sellers can't change anything. They can fix things that if they were broken in the meantime, they can, of course, they have to call you and share with everyone, but it can't change. They can't just come and break a wall or do any new things in the house just because they like it. They can't anymore. So, and of course, water, gas, electricity, those kind of things, we will put it in your name. And that's why the inspection happens. The notary, and then inspection report will be made by the selling party, will be sent to the notary, and then you go to the notary, and then it's time for you to sign the transfer deed and the mortgage deed. And a few days before, as you can see, you did pay the final note with all those values, 3 to 5%. One thing about those values, the appraiser and the technical inspection, you most likely will have to pay after 14 days they were at the house, or their report is done. So the technical inspector normally sends the report within like 2 hours after he's been in the house, and then he sends already with the invoice. And the appraiser within a few days, and then he sends the invoice. Keep them, of course, always, but most likely you're going to have to pay them before the final note, before the statement of completion, just for you to have an idea. But the rest, by your mortgage advisor, an example, us, the notary itself, translator, the bank guarantee 0.6%. Remember, if you use bank NEHT, everything else you pay only on a close date to your transfer date. I would say you pay within like 2 weeks before you go to the notary, for example. So if you buy a house now and the transfer date is only, like my client has now in July next year, that's when he's going to have to pay those 3 to 5%. And then you have about 2 months of we call liability time. I would say it's a very gray zone. You move. I always advise my clients to move to the house, turn on everything, use everything within the first few weeks, because if something is wrong, that's why also the inspection is necessary before you go to the notary, but you don't have time to use all the radiators. You don't have time to turn on the oven, the dishwasher, and everything. So use the house as much as you can after you get the key. And if something is wrong, you can contact the sellers and see if there's, and then you can see what is their responsibility to fix it or not. And that's why I will come back to the beginning. When you're doing your search, when you did your viewing, check the documents of the house. That's very important. And most likely everything that is wrong in the house will be written there. So that's very important for you to know. But you have about, I might change then for the next presentation, the 2 months to a month and a half, a month, because it's really hard to, something happens in the house after you move in, after a month and a half, and talk to the sellers and make them fix it. You have very nice sellers that will be okay with that, but you have very other kind of sellers. So yeah, that's why we say it's a very gray zone. So pay attention to that. Here is a little bit of what we do in our package and how you can, what we do for you and how we can help you. I'm not going to go through them. You can read them afterwards. And if you need any If you want and you have any questions, please let me know. You're going to receive my email, so I'll be glad to answer them for you. But that's what we do. We go through the process with you. Again, we don't have houses. We do help you to buy your dream home and go through the process with you. We go together into the end. We make the offer. We make the price research. We look at the documents. We check all the documents for you from the notary, from the selling part, and we be there once you get your keys. So that's what we do. But here you can check for each package, or it may be something different that you're looking for. Q&A. It's time for you to ask your questions. I'm not sure if there is questions. Rick, let me talk to my colleague Rick and see. There you go.
Yeah, I think, the presentation was very clear. Because so far we don't have any questions. A few during the webinar, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or in the Q&A so we can answer them.
Yes, if you still have questions that were not answered, or if you can think of something, we wait for a few seconds. You can put it in the chat and then, or in the Q&A, and then my colleague Rick will, we can answer them for you, all of them. I do have one more question for you guys. We have a little poll about your experience with this webinar. So I will launch the poll, and then if you can just answer those questions for us, it will be great. I hope I was clear enough. It seems a very big process, but it isn't really. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
We have one question.
There you go.
Does the bank finance the renovations? For example, if you want to improve your energy label?
Yes, it does. The bank, it does. There is even one value that you can ask the bank. It's like a special mortgage from it's a subsidy actually from the government that you can, if I think it's about 9,000 euros that you can use to improve the energy label of your house. And that doesn't count in your budget. So if your budget is 300, it's not like minus 9,000 for that. It's 300 plus those 9,000. But it has to be specific for like solar panels, to insulate the walls, insulate the floor, make it everything double glazed, or change the frames of the windows as well, insulation in the roof in and out. Yeah, it does. There is a special mortgage that you can have together with your new mortgage. So please ask your mortgage advisors. You do gonna need to prove a few things regarding. You have to show them like quotes of the companies that can do that for you. But yes, it's they do finance that, and there's nothing to do with your normal mortgage. And the interest rates are much lower as well for that because of the subsidies from the government.
All right, thank you. Then two questions from Justin, and the first one is: does EHN help with searching properties based on the needs of the client or the wants of the client? Yeah,
that's something it depends on the value that you're looking for, and then there is an option to search. Yes, there is an option, but it depends on the value. That's something we need to talk further, I would say.
All right. And then does EHN do market research on the value of the property?
Yes, we do. For every property you want to send an offer, we do price research, and we share with you, of course, all the comparables we can find, and more or less how much would be the evaluation for that property. Yes.
All right, thank you. Then another question based on the first question. Is it only true if the renovation is energy saving related? So does the bank also finance other renovations?
Yeah, well, they do, but it's case by case. So what the bank will finance for you is the renovation. If the renovation adds value to the house. What I mean by adding value is literally the appraisal that will tell how much. For example, if you're going to buy a new, put a new kitchen, you're going to tear the kitchen the house that you bought it, you're going to tear apart, and you're going to put a new kitchen. So a new kitchen, of course, depends on the size, but I would say it costs around 10 to 15, 20,000 euros, right? So that adds value to the house, and that the bank most likely will finance for you. But if you like painting the walls, Just putting a new floor? No, most likely it won't, because that doesn't make a really difference in the market value. The appraiser would not add that as a big value for the house. But if, for example, you change the kitchen, you make a new bathroom, a new roof, a new toilet, floor heating in the house, yes, they would. They would. Yes, indeed. You do have to talk to your mortgage advisor about it, because let's say they're going to ask how much it will be. For example, the appraiser will ask you how much it will be, how much you're going to expend in that renovation. For example, I don't know, 100K. It doesn't mean that the house will be worth 100K more. Huh? You can count around 40 to 60% of that value. That's how much more the house will be worth at market value. And based on that, the bank will tell you how much they're going to give it to you to be able to do that renovation. But not small things. No.
Thank you. Then a question: is it too much to buy a house over 400K in this situation?
Could you repeat it? Sorry, I think I didn't understand the beginning.
Too much to buy a house over 400K in this situation? I don't know which situation they mean.
I don't know. Yes, I would say a house of 490. It's not. You get a very good house. I would say, if that's what you mean. I hope. And it's not that hard to find.
No. Then another question: can you finance the furnishing of your house?
No, you can't, unfortunately. Nope. It's only the house, only the value that the appraiser puts in the report, nothing else. Then you need to get another loan for that.
All right, and then we have the final question: how much overbidding is okay? Because if the bank is only going to pay for the market value, then the rest we have to pay from our own pocket. Yes, that is.
Yes, indeed, you have to pay. It's like the what we saw it in the examples. So if the house costs 375, the market value is 415, you pay 420, those 5,000 you're gonna have to pay in cash. If you pay the 415, you're gonna finance the 415. Everything you pay more than the market value, you have, and if you don't have the budget, then of course the bank is only going to finance what you have in budget. But if you have the budget, but it's lower the market value, it's lower than your budget. It really doesn't matter. It's only what the appraiser puts in the report, nothing else. Anything you pay more than that, you have to pay in cash. It doesn't matter how much budget you have. And that's where the price research comes very handy. So you don't get trapped in that kind of situation, because if you put it in if you sign a purchase agreement that says that you're going to finance 100%, that case that we saw, 375, it was 375, right? Yes, 375, and then they pay 415, and then the market value was 415, and they paid 425. So if you put it on your purchase agreement that you have to finance, for example, 415 or even less, and you're not able to, you most likely, that's going to be a penalty for you to pay for it, because you really need to evaluate all the financial clause and be sure that you are protected in case you don't get a mortgage approved. So that's very important.
All right, then I see a final question coming in. Where do you think the market is at in the next year?
Where do I think what, sorry?
The market is headed in the next year.
Well, is that the question of the hour, isn't it? It's very hard to say, really. I did not expect that the market would go so crazy like last year. We did not expect that the house will go up 17% in 1 year, and even some cities 20%. So, and now what we see now, we don't see the prices going down this year. What we see is that people are much more careful with the overbidding, which is great because it has to stop at one point. When I mean overbidding, I mean overbidding above the market value, not from the value. Remember that. That you have to pay in cash. So I see that it's not happening that much anymore, that people are more stable. But what the big difference for me is that the selling part, the people who are selling the house, they are looking for more security than higher offers. And then I can guarantee that before, I would say like January, February last year, this year, and last year, the whole year, it was all about the money. Who would pay more and more and more and more? And now it's like, who can actually have a mortgage that will be approved with a good value for my house, and we can sell it, because of course people are worried. So the house value is still going a little bit up this year, but then next year some blogs do say that they are going down about 2.5%. We are not sure about it, because we did have the same kind of comments about 2 years ago from Rabobank, saying that the house market would not grow the year after, and then it grew like 17%. So it's a very interest marketing. I would just be careful with the overbidding. That's what I would do. And remember, the Netherlands don't have that many houses. So we are not expecting the market that goes down like insanely crazy, because people have to live somewhere. People are still coming a lot. There's a lot of jobs out there. And again, interest rates are still very low compared to 10 years ago, very low. It was just that it was too low. That was it. That was too low. And it doesn't matter the banks would not keep it up to that. And that's for sure. So we hope what we are seeing, it's more stability marketing. That's it. Instead of going completely crazy, it's going to be more stable. And we all need that, to be honest. So people have more chance to buy. Do you have anything to add to that, Rick?
I agree, guys. Interesting times, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some questions regarding mortgages. Can you switch your mortgage next year if the interest is lower then?
Can you what? Sorry?
Can you change your loan if the interest rate is lower next year?
Well, we do need to have an offer accepted and a purchase agreement signed to be able to start the mortgage process. So yeah.
No, I think it mean that if they get a mortgage today and the interest rate in general is lower next year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It depends what kind of a mortgage you're going to do. If you, for example, freeze your interest rates that you sign it now, please again confirm with your mortgage advisor. Every case is a case. They can do different things for each case. But if you sign a mortgage now and if you fix the interest rate for the next 10 years, yeah, you could put it down. It is possible. I did it for myself in 2015. We bought it at one interest rate and then it went down a little bit and then we lowered down, but not every bank will do it. It has to be, it depends on the kind of a mortgage you're going to sign. So that's something you have to discuss with the mortgage advisor to be sure that it will be possible. But if you have a fixed interest rate like 10 or 20 years, it is still possible, but you have to read between the lines to see if there is not a specific clause in your mortgage contract for that. But it is possible.
Yeah, and you do have to pay a penalty for it, right? So.
Oh yes, there is a penalty, and you're gonna need an evaluation report again for the bank.
Yeah. All right. Then the final question about NHG: is NHG mortgage considered more secure by the seller?
By the seller, for the seller, yeah. I think the NHG is something that is more secure for you. If something happens, if you lose your job, if you have an accident, and for the seller, it doesn't really matter. They need their mortgage to be approved so they can sell the house. But for the seller, it doesn't really matter what kind of a mortgage you're going to have. They're going to get paid anyway. But the security is more for your side, and they have lower interest rates as well. So yeah.
All right, that's it for now.
Yeah, that was it. Okay, then I wish you all a very nice evening. Thank you so much for being here. And again, if you have more questions, if there was something missing that we didn't say, or you just forgot to ask, or you remember something tomorrow, drop us an email. We'd be glad to help. And yeah, that was it. Thank you so much, Rick, for being here.
Yes,
and,
thank you.
yeah, see you guys next time.